Tonight's top story is our country's political correctness killing your kid's future. Wait to hear this story. Good evening and welcome to 630 Point of View. I'm Chris Berg. As always, thanks so much for joining us. East Grand Forks students walked out of class today in protest and support for East Grand Forks teacher Mr. Brian Perkins. Now, Mr. Perkins was put on paid leave recently because he sent out an email that the administration deemed, well, we actually don't really know why Mr. Perkins was put on paid leave, because the East Grand Forks Superintendent, David Pace, well, he won't talk to you and I, the people that actually pay his salary. Now, we are inviting Superintendent Pace to be on POV for any day next week or in the very near future. You are always welcome here, sir. Now, it's being alleged that Mr. Perkins was put on paid leave because in his email, which you can read it on our Facebook page, it's facebook.com/630POV. All he was ultimately trying to do was help all of his students, wait to hear this, actually get a better education. Last time I checked, that's pretty much a teacher's job. He was supposedly, allegedly suspended for referring in his email to Somali students. Valley News Team's Neil Carlson has the story for you.
Yes! What do we want now?
Several dozen students walked out of class in protest over the way teacher Brian Perkins was handled by the administration.
Questioning how to make his education better, how to help them more. And I didn't see anything wrong with that, and I don't understand why it became such a big ordeal.
On the email, I read it personally, and it does not say anything that has to do with being racist or anything like that.
Brian Perkins, a social studies and economics teacher, has been working in East Grand Forks schools since 1994. Superintendent of Schools David Pace has declined comment on why Perkins was initially put on administrative leave. Students say it's because of comments Perkins made in an email. This is the actual email in which Perkins states his frustrations with Somali students, saying in part, roughly 30% of my Somali students have very bad attendance. They are not capable of reading and interpreting the assignments for themselves. We must physically stop class to reteach at the expense of the other 25 students in the room. Perkins also suggests a solution in the email. Is there some type of attendance requirement we may impose on these kids? This afternoon, after meeting with administrators, Brian Perkins told me in a phone interview the matter has been resolved and he'll return to work Thursday morning. Perkins wouldn't get into specifics, saying only, I have done nothing but my obligation, which is best practices in education. Meanwhile, Superintendent David Pace also declined an on-camera interview. He released a statement saying, in part, they've completed a thorough investigation of this matter. The district has taken appropriate action for this situation. The employee is available to the classroom.
With us now, Valley News Team Neil Carlson via the phone, I believe, in Grand Forks. Neil, thanks so much for joining us. First question is, what I want to know from you is, number one, how many people did you visit with today, obviously, about this situation? And out of the people you talked to, did anybody you talked to agree with the administration move to obviously put this person on paid leave?
Well, first of all, the administration hasn't come out and said anything and clearly state that's why they were looking, that's why he was put on paid administrative leave is because of this email. But it was told by several students, that's basically it, that they were looking at whether it may have smacked of racism. I talked to probably a dozen different kids today. None of them had anything bad to say about Mr. Perkins, including, I don't know, about 3 or 4 Somali students or whatever all had good things to say. I never found any of the students come out and say anything bad about Mr. Perkins.
So the big question is, how many times did you contact the East Grand Forks superintendent, and what was his response to you? Why wouldn't they, I mean, we pay this person's salary. Why wouldn't he talk to the public?
I'm not sure. I stopped there this morning in his office physically, and again, I don't know, after around the noon hour, it was 10:30 this morning. It's been called several times, plenty of messages. He never got back to me, as I said in the story just now. He just sent out a quick little statement saying that the incident has been investigated thoroughly, and basically Mr. Perkins is going back to work.
I mean, that's disturbing to me. All right, anything else that was not in your story that maybe couldn't fit in there that should be in the story that people need to know?
Not really. I mean, we're basically all still in the dark of what actually happened. I mean, the students were telling me that, yeah, it's because this may have smacked of racism. That's why this was looked at. But apparently it must have been deemed okay because Mr. Perkins is going back to work. So hopefully, I've also reached out to Tony Palmasino on the school board, and we'll be trying to talk with others. And maybe sometime tomorrow we can get some more answers of what actually went on behind the scenes with the administration and all this.
Mr. Carlson, as always, great work, and thank you so much for taking a few minutes with us tonight, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, again, we are reaching out to Superintendent Pace. Mr. Pace, please come on the show and answer these questions. We are paying your salary. You are a public servant, and to go put a person on paid leave without any reason whatsoever at this point, and then that whatever answer was you gave Neil Carlson, oh, he's now at our students' disposal, whatever, that, to me, we need obviously much more transparency, and I think everybody here in the Valley would agree with that. I want to share with you one more piece from Mr. Perkins' email, because I think this is the point that he was getting at the end of the day. He said this: so I'm asking, at what point of falling behind attendance-based issues are these kids, referring to the Somali New American students, better off in an ESL, English second language room all day versus half-day immersion? He also goes on to say, and at what point are the rights of our other students being taken advantage of? Two quick points. One is, if you or I were thrown into the middle of Somalia, I don't know about you, but I would want to be in an all-day Somali second language classroom the entire day so I understand what I'm doing. Second part of this piece is that, look, if I was in this classroom with Somali students and I was forced to learn math with Somali-born students the way Somalians teach it, I'd probably feel like an idiot. I don't want to sit in a classroom and feel like an idiot. So is there a better way to help these young men and women that come over here from war-torn countries to get education and to communicate so they obviously can learn? You heard the one, she looked like a Somali girl in the package. She spoke great English, probably is doing very, very well in her classroom because, again, as it states in the email, she's actually showing up for the classes. Second thing is, if you are a parent of one of the students in this classroom or with this teacher or have a challenge here, please reach out to us, because I know if my daughter was in a classroom where now her education is being stalled because we've got to catch people up because of the way this thing is being done, I am absolutely furious, and there's no reason that my daughter or your son or daughter should be cheated out of their education because we're trying to catch people up because of the way the system works. We asked a ton of people today at our Facebook page their thoughts. We invite you to go there. Again, it's facebook.com/630 POV. Would love to know your thoughts on this. We got a special guest tomorrow night to talk more about this situation. Now, coming up later on in the show, a lot of headlines about GMOs. Many people are confused. We're going to talk to some ag people about that. But coming up next, obviously breaking news this week. Star quarterback for the NDSU Bison, Carson Wentz, is out now with a broken wrist. We're going to visit with Beth Houle about that. And what's coming up is Stick ready to lead the Bison to victory. She joins us for our Bison Breakdown segment right after this.